Dylan in Taiwan. What are your thoughts on WWE inducting the Guerrero family into the Hall of Fame? This would include Mando, Hector, Eddie, and Chavo, and possibly Vickie. Mando and Hector did a lot for Lucha Libre in Mexico, while Eddie and Chavo helped popularize the style in the US and around the world. Los Guerreros were definitely one of the most entertaining tag teams in WWE history, and even Vickie surprised many with how great she was on screen as a heel. I think a Guerrero's induction would be fine. They've been an influential family. You think of the great wrestling families, you think of the Harts, and you think of the Von Erichs, and you think of the Guerreros. They put the Von Erichs in the Hall of Fame, right? So there's no reason that the Guerreros can't get an induction. Vickie is actually leaving AEW in July when her contract is up. So she's going to be a free agent. And I don't know that the family would want her in with them, though. I don't see that happening. I don't see Vickie. If this were to happen, I do not see Vickie going in or maybe even wanting to go in with the rest of the family. But I don't think they would want her in. My understanding is that outside of Chavo, and I think Eddie's mom, the other members of the family, the brothers and their wives, they didn't like Vickie. I know some of them used to trash her all the time online and talk about how she sold out to Vince McMahon after Eddie died. She's taken the high road. I don't think I've ever really heard her hit back at any of the family members. It just always came off to me very scummy for them to trash the man's widow publicly like that. Whether they felt they had good reason to do so or not, I thought that was very scummy on their part. You know, Vince McMahon brought in Vickie and paid her when I'm sure she could have used the money after Eddie passed away. He paid in, he gave her a job. He brought her in and gave her a job. And she had to go through a lot of shit during her time in the company. She was one of their biggest heels at one point. The woman was getting nuclear heat that the other heels on the roster would kill for. She was a heat magnet. But when she asked for her release the first time, I forget exactly which year it was. I want to say it was 2009 or 2010. As I remember it, she asked for her release. She went to Vince McMahon and said, look, I want to spend more time with my kids, because she was a single parent and her daughters were starting to get older. They were in their teens. And supposedly Vince hit the roof when she asked for it. Like this was some sort of great betrayal. How could this woman do this? How could she ask for her release? And that's around the time they started humiliating her on television with the fat jokes and having people call her a pig and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is from the same company that did the Piggy James stuff. I know this shouldn't be shocking. But I mean, they put this woman in a fucking hog pen match with Santina. And for what? Because she asked for her release? This was her punishment? I'd put her in the Hall of Fame for that alone, for all the shit they said about her and they made her do during that period. But I don't see her going in as part of any Guerrero induction. I don't think they're on very good terms. I think if she does go in, she'll go in by herself. You can't deny that she was a key part of the show for a while. A former GM, managed the World Heavyweight Champion. She was all over their television. I mean, people who were featured a lot less than she was have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. But I don't see her going in with the rest of the family. And JR, straight out of Compton, California. How do you feel about receipts in wrestling? Has there been a moment where you felt like it was justified, and has there been a moment where you feel like it was completely uncalled for? As a wrestler, you are trusting your opponent to take care of you when you're in the ring. And they should have that same trust in you. Shit happens, right? Mistakes happen. People get dinged sometimes. In cases like that, there's a minor accident. I wouldn't think a receipt is needed. But then there are times where somebody gets tagged and then they get tagged again, or somebody might be working a little too stiff, or someone's being reckless. And in those situations, I think it's perfectly fine to pop them right back and let them know you need to dial that shit back. Chris Jericho told a great story years ago. I think it had to be on his podcast, about an incident with Shane McMahon at one of the Survivor Series elimination matches, where Shane, he tagged into the match and he was throwing his terrible punches. And he caught Jericho in the face. But he didn't just catch Jericho in the face once. He hit him once, he hit him twice, he hit him 3 times, ended up hitting him 4 times. To the point where Jericho rolled out of the ring. He was so angry, he ripped the front cover off the announce desk, and he's kicking the ring steps. He's pitching a fit. He gets back in the ring, and Shane did it again. And Jericho told him, all right, look, do a spot in the corner. So I think he threw Jericho into the corner. Shane comes in. And Jericho, he catches him with a boot right to the chest. He knocks him down. Jericho goes up to the top rope, and he caught Shane coming off right in the face with a drop kick that knocked him loopy. And Shane was like, everything okay? And Jericho just told him, calm the fuck down. So, like, in situations like that, I think it's fine to push back. Okay? Sometimes you have to send a message. Sometimes that's the only way to send a message when you're in the middle of a match. Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam that one year with Braun Strowman when he got kneed in the head. He came right back. He tagged him with a punch to the head that rocked him. Guess what? Braun didn't do that again. Message received. You know, in baseball, if the opposing pitcher hits multiple batters on the other team, you can bet the next time those two teams play, somebody's getting hit. I don't condone throwing at someone's head. You could kill somebody doing that. But if your teammates are getting hit, you know, someone's getting it in the back or the leg or the arm. It happens in all sports. But then you see something like, you know, like Perry Saturn many years ago beating the crap out of Mike Bell, which was uncalled for, or the worst that I've ever seen. And I had a lot to say about this on the podcast when it happened. Was that dipshit in Mexico who hit his opponent in the head with a cinder block and almost killed him. The guy had to undergo brain surgery. His opponent had no brain to begin with, which is why you do something like throwing a cinder block at someone's head just because they hit you with a couple of stiff chair shots. That's why he did it. That was his receipt. No, that's attempted murder is what that is, and he's lucky he didn't get locked up over it. He should have been blackballed from the wrestling business for doing that. Now that's an extreme example, but that is the worst example of a receipt that I have ever seen.